Italian is a Romance language of the Indo-European family that evolved from Vulgar Latin. Fun fact, alongside Sardinian, it's the least divergent Romance language from Latin. It's an alphabetical language, aka based on an alphabet. Thus, each sound, or phoneme, is almost perfectly transcribed into a letter, or grapheme. So, the pronunciation of a word is supposed to be the vocal transposition of the set of individual sounds that compose it. For example, the word Ciao is written C-I-A-O. Due to this characteristic, it's fundamental to know how Italian letters and sounds work. The Italian alphabet has 21 letters, 5 vowels, 15 consonants, and 1 silent letter. To this, we need to add 5 foreign letters, for a total of 26. Each letter can be written in either block letters, stampatello, or cursive, corsivo, in uppercase, maiuscole, or lowercase, minuscole. That said, let's see the rules involving Italian phonemes and graphemes. In particular, the topic of today's video is vowels. Ready? Let's start. Vowels are the nucleus of the syllable. They are the basic elements of pronunciation. In fact, there are no Italian words without vowels. Italian has 5 vowel graphemes: A, E, I, O, U. However, the vowel phonemes, the sounds, are 7. In fact, while the pronunciation of A, I, and U is always the same, E and O can be open, low vowels, or closed, high vowels. Another important distinction to keep in mind for later occurs between the so-called vocali forti, strong vowels, and vocali deboli, weak vowels. The strong vowels A, E, and O are called like this due to their independent attitude. On the other hand, the weak vowels I and U usually rely on their colleagues. That said, is it worth it to put a lot of effort into learning how to properly pronounce open and closed vowels? No. The truth is that this distinction was created to recognize homographs, aka words that are spelled the same but have different meanings and origins. However, in practice, due to the influence of dialects in Italy, almost nobody has perfect pronunciation, and nobody really cares, to be honest. For example, in my dialect, we open all the vowels, and when I say all the vowels, I mean all of them. Yes, also the ones that technically don't have the distinction. Now, you know when I said vowels are so fundamental that there are no Italian words without vowels? Well, not only that, we even have a word that has all the vowels. This word is aiuole, flower beds. Given this example, you can easily guess that Italian has plenty of words that contain consecutive vowels, so we have to distinguish between vowels that hate each other and want to stay apart, and vowels that stick together and form syllables. In the first case, the phenomenon is called hiatus. In the second case, it depends. When we have a group of 2 consecutive vowels, it's called diphthong. When we have a group of 3 consecutive vowels, it's called triphthong. Now, let's see this phenomenon in detail. Let's start with diphthongs and triphthongs. Diphthongs, in Italian dittonghi, and triphthongs, in Italian trittonghi, are groups of 2 or 3 vowels that are pronounced all together as one syllable. A diphthong occurs in 2 cases. First, when a weak vowel meets another weak vowel, for example, piuma. Second, when a strong vowel meets a weak vowel, for example, fiore. Among the possible combinations of the second case, ye and wo are worth mentioning due to their exceptional characteristic. They are called dittonghi mobili, mobile diphthongs, since they lose the I or U in the derived words. This happens in 2 cases. First, when the diphthong loses the accent. For example, suono changes into sonoro. Second, when the diphthong keeps the accent, but it is in a syllable ending with a consonant. For example, cuocere changes into cotto. On the other hand, triphthongs occurs when a strong vowel, usually bearing an accent, meets 2 weak vowels. So we'll have copiai, miei, guai, puoi, and aiuola. However, there are groups of vowels that seem like diphthongs or triphthongs, but they are not. These exceptions are cha, cho, chu, gia, jo, giu, glia, lie, glio, sha, sho, shu. In fact, in all these cases, the only purpose of the E is to make the sound soft. Nevertheless, just like diphthongs and triphthongs, they make a syllable and cannot be divided. Now, last but not least, the hiatus. A hiatus, in Italian hiato, is a group of consecutive vowels that are pronounced separately, aka not as one syllable. A hiatus occurs in 4 cases. First, when we have a group of strong vowels, a, e, o. Remember, they are independent vowels and need nobody. They can even have their own syllable without any support of other letters, not vowel nor consonant. For example, teatro or a, e, re, o. Second, when there's an accent on I or U. Despite being weak vowels, accents boost their confidence, thus they gain the right amount of self-esteem needed to match their colleagues. For example, via or paura. It's important to keep in mind that the hiatus stays even in the derived words. Even the accent is not anymore on the I or U. For example, via le or pauroso. Third, when the prefix ri and the pseudo-prefixes b and tri precede a vowel. This is because prefixes are already syllables on their own. For example, ri, u, ni, re, b, en, na, le, and tri, an, go, lo. Last, due to etymological reasons. For example, innocuo or vacuo, due to their Latin etymology. And that's all as far as concerns the vowels. Stay tuned for the next episode, is going to be about consonants. Remember to leave a comment or a feedback, and until next time. Arrivederci.